How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So we're gonna have a great conversation.
I love great conversations.
Me too. Me too. So, could you introduce yourself? Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and anything you want them to know before we get started.
Okay, so I'm Sir Leezus. I'm a professional dominant. I specialize in erotic power exchange. I've been in the lifestyle as a whole for about 20, maybe 21 years.
Mhm.
I started off in a swinger community. I started off as a swinger. I used to host parties, had my own club for a little bit. And in my journey in that lifestyle, I came across BDSM and sparked my interest. And I decided to go down a rabbit hole. And I did it personally in the bedroom with a partner for a minute, perfected my craft, educated myself, going to workshops, seminars, also, anybody that I can soak up the knowledge from. And about 3 years ago, I decided to go professional, and I became one of the top performing dimes in the country.
Hmm. Okay. I have a lot of questions. Usually I do it off the top of my head, but I had to write them down or I would have forgot. All right. So, what does it truly mean to live the lifestyle versus just engaging in scenes occasionally?
So typically, if you live it and you consider yourself or you live in the role of a dom or a submissive, it can be 24/7. It can be in the bedroom, out of the bedroom, just your in general your lifestyle, right? So you can't really say to me if it's you, it's you, right? I
Hmm.
don't say like if you practice it, that's just like saying I'm a freak. I'm always be a freak. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Uh, Now the thing is when you're choosing to do it, um, like as a lifestyle, as opposed to it can just happen. It might be a hobby. I might pick up a paddle once in a while. You know what I mean? As opposed to you actually making it a part of your life and incorporating it into every situation that you have, whether it's intimately or just in general. Life dealings. So it's kind of separate. What you see online, me performing professionally, is completely separate from what I do in my personal life. Because my
Hmm.
personal journey, the submission to me is not physical; it's more mental, emotional, and energy based. When you see everything online, that's more of a physical interaction.
Hmm.
So
Okay. So, how does the lifestyle influence how you show up in your daily life, relationships, community, and even in how you navigate power dynamics outside the bedroom?
So in general, I'm a dominant male in general. I've
Hmm.
always been towards the alpha side. I don't like to say I'm an alpha male, but I've always been a leader. I've always been in that role. I've always been in a position to where I'm able to step up and guide and lead. So that
Hmm.
was just natural. That's something that I naturally had from playing sports to being in organizations and stuff like that. So just my natural energy was dominant. What I did was I learned the community. I learned how to actually put it into play intimately. I learned how to put it into play when it comes to having a power exchange dynamic. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
A role as a dominant figure with a submissive figure.
Hmm.
The difference was just learning, the ins and out of BDSM, the culture, the guidelines, and how that's put out there and portrayed. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So
It's let's get to the fundamentals. What exactly is kink and how does it differ from BDSM?
BDSM is a form of kink,
Mm.
depending on what you're practicing. BDSM is just, you got bondage, right, which is a kink.
Hmm.
Dominant, submissive, power exchange, role playing, that's a kink.
Hmm.
S&M, sadomasochism, people that are sadists, people that get pleasure from inflicting pain, right?
Hmm.
That's a kink. People that get pleasure from receiving pain, and that's a kink. So it all goes under the same umbrella. You know what I mean?
Can kink exist without dominance and submission?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
What's the distinction between a kink and a fetish?
So let me see. So a fetish is something like, let's just say, like, if I want to give a simple example. Like, let me see, somebody has like a foot fetish. You know, something that they need to do to get them, you know, for them to climax. Some people have to have that. A kink is something that you off and on, you know what I mean? You could turn it off and on. Most people that have fetishes, that's the thing that they can't turn off and on.
True.
You see it? So,
Yeah. Oh, you ain't explain nothing. I'm into like that, so you ain't even explain nothing. I just this right here is because, as you know, this is a literary podcast,
okay.
and a lot of times authors will write about BDSM. They will write about dominance. They'll write about submissives. But the problem is where fiction becomes too realistic and it's not true. A lot of falsehoods. So I wanted you to come on here so you can better explain it for them, because a lot of times they'll ask questions and they have no research, and a lot of times they're asking from a Black perspective.
So let me add this to give you a better perspective on me personally.
Okay.
So, you know, everybody says BDSM. I say I do erotic power exchange because you don't have to be in a BDSM to do what I do. Because even if you take that away and I say, hey, I'm not in the BDSM community, I still do power exchange regardless. So I tell people, you do not have to be a dom. You do not have to be a submissive. You don't have to be a master. You don't have to be a slave to engage in power exchange. So as I started getting more into, you know, my craft and what I love, I started leaning more towards, hey, I don't do BDSM. I do erotic power exchange because I don't want to keep it in a box. You see what I'm saying? I want to where people say, oh, I'm not in the swinging, or I'm not in the BDSM, or I'm not in the kink. Well, listen, if you're into having a situation to where you have an erotic power exchange, you don't have to be in all that. I can teach different aspects of kink, different aspects of BDSM to add to it. But this is like, that's why I'm kind of like, it's more open to me when I say that. People say, Dom, oh, he's going to do a BDSM show. No, I'm going to do an erotic power exchange. So that's kind of what I lean towards more, because I don't want to be put in a box of saying, oh, BDSM only does this or kink only does this. No, my power exchange does not have to be me as your dominant or you as my submissive. I got a camera.
They're giving you gifts.
Okay. And so my thing is about the power exchange. If you see any of my videos, that's what it's about, that engagement. And it's going to be different with anybody that I engage with. I never know because I transfer energy. So when I get to a vibe, I know if I need to be more aggressive, less aggressive. I need to let you come to me. I need to go to you. That's all going to be off of the feel. You see what I'm saying? Like I just put the thing up, like, you know, talking to somebody. If I'm going to talk to you nice, I'm going to talk to you nasty. That's all the energy because we're exchanging power. You see what I'm saying? And that's one of the things that I've learned to, that's one of the things that I excel in. You see what I'm saying? I want to highlight what I excel in and what feels more comfortable to me, and that's erotic power exchange.
Okay. So, for example, like pulling hair, choking, spanking during sex. Are these soft entries into kink culture without education or safety framework?
So I lead with this, and I'm glad you said that. I always tell everybody, think about when you're with a partner, maybe the first time this happened. You're making love, whatever. Y'all are being intimate, and he's behind you, and he's making love to you from the back, and he pulls your hair. And the first time that happened to you in a sexual sense, right? Okay, so he pulls your hair. He's applying pain to you. It's painful to get your hair. Now, I always say, how was your response to that? How was your response when he's making love to you from the back and he smacks you on your on your ass, right? Inflicting pain. Now, did that turn you on? Did you turn around and say, "Damn, daddy, do it again"? Or did you turn around like, "Oh, bro, nigga," like you put your hands on him, you was ready to fight?
That's me.
It can go left, right? It can go either way. So you think about that. We have all practiced BDSM, and didn't know. We practice a form of at the bare minimum, it's role playing. At the bare minimum, it's role playing. Not like the hair, but it's role playing. You're a dominant figure, you're a submissive figure, or you should, right? Now, adding the practices to it where it gets technical, you know what I mean? But if I pull your hair during sex and you like it, right? And it happens organically. Now, the thing is, are you in your head thinking, hey, I need you to pull my hair again while you penetrate me? Now, when you start identifying these things that turn you on, and you say, hey, I like my hair pulled, and you communicate that with your partner, now it becomes your kink. You see what I'm saying? So once something happens to you for the first time, you like it, you dislike it, and now you start looking for that and you're asking for that with your partner, right? So that makes the difference right there. So if you start off with your partner, he's making love to you from the back, he smacks you on your ass, and you like it, and then you keep asking for it, then you say harder, right? Then every time you do it, you're telling him smack, and now he knows, so he's doing it unconsciously, right? Because you done already communicated. He sees you like it, you asked for it, you verbalized it, you're responding to the smacking on the butt, and that's all you're thinking at that moment. You're not knowing that that's a form of sadomasochism. You don't know that that's the baseline for impact play for BDSM. Take that and you chase that high, right? You keep chasing that high. Maybe you want to go, you saw 50 Shades of Grey, now you want to go get a little fluff. But you have to use that because that bridges the gap. Because when we can say BDSM, we can have a whole conversation about BDSM for 2 hours, and people be looking at us like we speak in Japanese. Sometimes you got to meet people where they are. So sometimes that bridge to say, and I say to people, hey, have you ever saw 50 Shades of Grey? Well, that's BDSM. I do live, so-and-so, this is that. Sometimes you got to bridge that gap.
Yeah. I guess you saw my eye roll.
Yeah, we see it, but then a lot of people don't understand how to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
People don't want to educate. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes you have to meet people where they are. So if that's the way I have to do it for me to explain to you and educate you, you know what I mean? Then that's what I'm going to do. If I have to, I'm gritting down, you know what I mean? Like fucking lip saying, okay, you ever saw 50 Shades of Grey? I'm hitting myself, oh my goodness. And then I explain, I say, okay, this was this version of it, but this is what you see. This is BDSM. So to go back to your question, most of the people have started it just unconsciously. But when you identify it and you say, hey, I like to be spanked, what else is there? Maybe you go get a flogger. Now your impact play is increasing. Then you go get a paddle. Most people start with a riding crop, right? That's simple. They're using that in the bedroom. Then you get a little paddle, maybe a leather paddle. Then you get a wooden paddle. And then you just keep increasing and you chasing that high. Now, you're in the impact play and that's became your kink, right?
Okay.
Or the hair pulling or the biting on the shoulder or even verbally being called names, right? Being called, a nasty whatever, or being called a pretty this, and actually become the thing that turns you on. Now you're asking for it. So now verbal praise or verbal humiliation might be your kink.
Right.
Because now you're incorporating it and now you're doing it consciously as opposed to it happening organic or somebody just called you something and you liked it and then you liked it again. Now you're asking for it. So now when you go to your next partner, you can identify and say, hey, I like my hair pulled. I like to be bit on my shoulder. I like to be spanked on my, and I like to be called a good girl. These all turn me on. Now you identify your kinks and then you go with it.
Yeah. So what is power dynamic in the lifestyle? What is power dynamic and what makes it consensual and ethical?
So for any power exchange, right, it's communication, right? You sit down, you talk about what it looks like for you, like for your partner.
Right.
It might be as simple as you just have to call me sir every time you address me. Or it might be as complex as you have a routine that you follow from wake up to sleep. But the thing is communication and seeing what it looks like for you and your partner. How far do you want to take it? Do you just want it to be in the bedroom? You want it to be everyday life? Do I have to wake up in the morning, iron your clothes, run your bath water, cook you breakfast, serve it to you, wait for you to get done eating, wipe your mouth off, put your slippers on? Do I have to do all that? Or is it a simple thing like you have to ask permission to climax in the bedroom? It can be as simple as that. Yes. So what makes it ethical and consensual is we both agree. We agree on what you want. I agree on what I can provide, and then vice versa. This is what I want, and this is what you can provide. And we come to common ground, and we do a contract with that. We say, this is how it's going to look. I agree to this. You agree to that. Okay, how long of a time frame are we going to do it for?
Yeah.
So when you're thinking in the BDSM realm, you want to put a time frame on it because things can change. You might be 100% okay with something for 2 months, and then you say, you know what, I don't like how this looks. I didn't really like how this felt, or I want more, I want less.
Right.
And then the person has that power to control that.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, the submissive has, you know, you have to, I can only do what you allow me to do.
Exactly.
In a physical scene, anything you see online, anything you see, if you see my submissive on her knees, you know, presenting my cologne to me and I'm ready, I'm only doing what she allows me to do.
Right.
So
Right.
anything that you see her do, she has agreed to that and it's okay. And I'm doing what we have negotiated.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it consensual, ethical, because we both agree to this. You're not being forced to do anything. We both agree to this. So anything you see from the outside looking in, and if you know, that person agreed to that.
Exactly. So, how is it different from control or manipulation in unhealthy relationships in
It's
regards to this?
the same thing. It goes to that the communication and the choosing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Choose to do it. If you're being forced to do it, or if you're being manipulated to do it, then that's a different situation. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you need to be able to be present mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and energy wise, and be able to make that conscious decision saying, I want this.
Yeah.
Don't be in a vulnerable state and do not be with anybody you don't trust, because you have to be with the person that you trust, because anybody can manipulate the situation.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So there's people, I mean, people are human. It doesn't matter, you know, the BDSM community, the swinging community, people are still human at the end of the day. You have malicious people. You have, you know, you have people that are sincere. You have people that have integrity, people that don't have integrity.
Right.
So, communication, talk, like don't rush into something. Don't let someone tell you what your journey looks like.
Mm.
If you come to me, I can say, hey, this is how my journey looks. If
Mm-hmm.
you align with this, we can talk. There's a lot of women that approach me and ask and they show interest in being submissive, and their journey doesn't align with mine. You know, I'm a little bit more seasoned. I can say, hey, this is how it looks for me. Make sure this aligns with what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay for me to turn somebody down if they're asking me to provide something that I can't provide.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I had a submissive interested, and she requested to have time. Like this was just in a process of interview, right? She wasn't my submissive one, but she requested to want to have alone time to where uninterrupted by my two partners. And I'm like, that's not available for anybody.
Yeah.
And I can't provide that. And if it's something you need, we should remain friends and we shouldn't continue. But I have a responsibility to tell somebody I cannot provide something that you need, as opposed to seeing you being so attracted to you. And I just say, you know what? I'm going to say yes anyway. I'm going to go down that way anyway. You see what I'm saying? You have a responsibility. It's like dating, right? If I know you want kids and I don't want kids, but you bad as hell, we met and we vibing, it's my responsibility to say, hey, listen, before we invest time, right? Before we invest time, I want you to know that there's no space to where I'm going to want to have kids in the future. I can tell you that now. And a lot of us don't have that respect. Just as humans, it has nothing to do with BDSM. It's just being a human and doing it right and being able to step up and say, hey, listen, I can't provide this for you. I love her energy, I love her vibe, but I'm not going to be able to provide what you're asking me to. And I have that responsibility. Just like if you come to me as a submissive, you had a responsibility to say, hey, I can't do this. Don't do it because you're turned on by me. You want to be in this life. Make sure that everything that you're doing, that this is your journey and y'all align together. Don't force it. You know, don't compromise. Don't sacrifice if it doesn't align with your journey.
That's true. So, what does it mean to be a Dom? Is it purely about control, or is there more emotional labor involved?
I would say responsibility,
Mm.
guide, mentor, right? So forget most people are turned on by the energy of a dominant towards a submissive and that intimate encounter. But you got to understand, we start off as guides, right? We're here to provide stability. You know what I'm saying? We're here to give you a space of I can completely let go because I trust this person and I can be vulnerable around this person. I'm okay with letting this person lead. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and that right there is the base of a dominant. You need to be able to guide and to be able to be that safe, vulnerable space and lead this person how they need to be led.
Okay.
Everybody's not the same.
Yeah.
Man. So all the other stuff is more the fun aspect of it in the bedroom and all that, whatever. You know what I mean? But when it comes to something outside of the bedroom, when you're doing it as a lifestyle, and that person is giving you that power and that responsibility, and that's what you're there for. You know what I mean? Because they're putting their livelihood in your hands.
That is true. So, how do you cultivate authority without being abusive?
So that all goes to the same with communication and being on the same page to what's expected, what the
Mm-hmm.
person is okay with. Everything boils down to communication
Mm-hmm.
and somebody consenting to it before you do it. Anything that I do, let's just say if they have a set amount of rules, say they have to make a phone call to me every morning at 8 a.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
Say they have to deliver breakfast to me, my bed, at by 9 a.m., right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they have to have my clothes ready,
Mm-hmm.
ironed and stuff. Now, say one of those steps are skipped or something doesn't happen on time. And it's already mapped out and negotiated that if you don't do A, B, and C, there's some type of discipline or punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So before we even get to the stage to where we have an interaction, you're seeing this in writing. You should see it.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be anything that is a surprise to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is explained and you're agreeing to it.
Right.
See what I'm saying? Just like if somebody says, "Hey, every time you curse, I'm gonna spank you."
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. We had this conversation. Now you know. So anytime
Right.
you cuss, you agree to that. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't, hey, I'm good with that. Anytime you curse, I'm gonna spank you. Now
Mm-hmm.
that's it right there. We agreed to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked, and now I'm applying something that we agreed on. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
So, so does a dom still exist without a submissive?
yes, but in general, but you cannot exist without having that entity. You can just be there, but
Mm-hmm.
I I don't. I yeah no no no. Let me bring this back. Let me bring this back because I see what you're going. I see where you're going with that one. Without a submissive, because I can only do like you have to allow me to lead. I
Mm-hmm.
can't. I'm not going to anybody and forcing them to be under me. You have to choose me.
Mm-hmm.
Saying so. There's a lot of doms that don't have submissives.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of doms that operate in the space of top and bottom,
Mm-hmm.
right? But once you get into that space of actually having a dynamic, you
Yes.
have to have that. You have to have a submissive. The submissive has to choose you.
Right.
At the end of the day, the submissive is choosing you. She's because she has to be secure enough with you to be able to let go, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be able to put all her trust in you and let you, lead the situation. So at the end of the day, the submissive has all the power at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day. And they take what it looks like
Yeah.
for any dime that you see. At the end of the day, you might see on a surface level he has complete control, but at the end of the day, he's only doing what she allows. He can only exist if she allows him to do this. Even
True.
if you see me having an interaction, say me and you meet and you want to have an engagement with me, it doesn't happen unless you allow it to happen. You see,
True.
that it doesn't happen organically unless you allow yourself to submit to me for that moment.
Yeah. So, is there training involved?
So yeah, you can. So depending on the angle you take, because there's classes everywhere. You
Mm-hmm.
can learn and sit in a class, a workshop, a seminar, anywhere in the country.
Mm-hmm.
There's people that will teach you specifically hands on. There's people that just mentor. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like I've worked with several different people from different things. If I see something I want to learn, um, I'll reach out to some. Hey, do you know this? Do you know whatever? Someone so. Hey, where can I learn this? I just sent a guy that mentoring. Um, I'm mentoring to be able to perform. I don't do fire, but I said, hey, listen, I would like you to learn fire so you could do it as part of my show, whatever, and call some resource or whatever. So then he found somebody and he went and he actually sat in a class and
Mm-hmm.
learned fire. Now before I was able to allow him to do it on one of my events, I reached out to one of my friends that does fire and said, hey, listen, let me know. I want you to link up with him. Let me know, if he's ready to do it. You see what I'm saying? So you can find resources anywhere. You know what I mean? You can find like you can see stuff, go to parties, ask questions. That particular person might teach a class. They might just say, "Hey, I'm gonna be doing here. Come just observe me." You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Or they might give you the opportunity to say, "Hey, let me show you how
Yeah.
to." Like I do that a lot with couples. They come and I say, "Hey, let me show you how to do this correctly.
Yeah.
Show you where to start at." You see what I'm saying? But I do basic. I only do impact play and sensory play. I don't do any extreme BDSM. Like my thing is about the power exchange,
Mm.
and it's the energy. and you can't teach someone how to maneuver energy, how to like. It's like trying to teach someone how to speak to women.
Yeah.
Have it, some people don't. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Some people have it, some people don't.
So, how do you balance ego, empathy, and control?
Yeah. Say that again. I'm sorry.
How do you balance ego, empathy, and control?
How do I balance it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's you have to you have a responsibility, right, to put your ego to the side
Mm-hmm.
and be able to focus on this person and their safety, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? And their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
So everything has to be focused on that particular person.
Right.
So I tell anybody that's how you start. That's how you start. Focus on that person and push all that to the side and vibe with them on that moment. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Can a dom experience vulnerability or guilt after a scene?
Um, if I would say, let's just say you didn't communicate properly
Mm-hmm.
because you didn't maybe ask the right questions. Because we're human at the end of the day. Everybody is not perfect, right?
Absolutely.
Um, so and sometimes we get in spaces to where um, we have dom, space. We get in dom space sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You're caught in the moment. Adrenaline is going. You know what I mean? Me, I do a lot of stuff on stage.
Yeah.
It's a little different for me because I don't have room for error because I'm in front of hundreds of people
Right.
nonstop. You see what I'm saying? I don't do a lot of casual pickup play. Anything that I do is a book paid session.
Mm-hmm.
And then besides that, it's on stage in front of a crowd. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I got to make sure I'm in the right headspace mentally,
Mm-hmm.
emotionally, energy wise.
Mm-hmm.
I have to be able to read. I have to be able to read you physically
Mm-hmm.
and energy and emotion. You get what I'm saying? So I'm going through that with that person. So anytime you have to start with a blank canvas with a person.
Mm-hmm.
You got to start with and it always starts again. I do a lot of interactions with people that I have to refresh. My energy with you, like if I'm paid to be at a club and I'm doing sessions with people and they're coming in, whatever, my energy with you is going to be completely different. I have to completely wipe the surface off, wipe the canvas off, and start again from hello, talking, feeling the vibe. You know what I mean? So I always got to meet you energy wise so I can have that exchange.
Have you ever trained female doms
I'm not gonna say trained.
or
I'm gonna say
mentored?
I have gave advice.
Mm.
All sexes. I've
Okay.
given advice to. I've gave points and tips to what I know myself.
Mm.
You know what I mean? I've seen people do stuff. I say, hey, try this way. You know what I mean? Try this approach. But not actually, I would say trained. But I've showed some people how to do certain type of impact. I showed them different type of ways to start to build energy with someone when it comes to sensory play, stuff like that. And then performance wise, I've had a couple people that I've showed how to work the stage and angles to use when you're actually trying to do certain practices on stage for a crowd.
Okay. So, what is dom drop? Is that a real thing or myth?
So it's the same as when you have your what are they called, what are the chemicals, endorphins.
The endorphins.
Endorphins. It's the same thing when they start to circulate through your body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whether you're doing it sexually or you just had that adrenaline rush, it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they start circulating and then they start to leave out your body, it's the same thing as subdrive.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. You
Yeah.
know. And when you have that connection and you actually get into that space with somebody and that adrenaline is there and you're vibing and then you're doing something that you like, say you're a sadist and the spanking is something that turns you on and then you're locked in and you're getting into the space. Now the chemicals are all flowing and eventually they're going to leave out your system, right? It's the same thing like a drug. So it can be intoxicating.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Sometimes you had that high and it goes down. Same thing with basketball. You score 40 points in a game, hit a buzzer beater, that adrenaline, and then it's gonna leave out sometimes. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes
Yeah.
you have to get that rush back. But it's the same thing as a submissive dropping. It's the
So
same
let's
thing.
you mentioned sub drop.
Yeah.
So what is subspace? How can a dom help navigate their submissive through that altered state of consciousness?
So the thing, aftercare,
Mm.
aftercare, because one thing is you don't know what it looks like unless this is your partner.
Mm-hmm.
Able to identify that. If you're doing something with someone that you don't know when it's going to happen, you don't know how it's going to happen, or how it's going to affect that person. So there's a lot of people that won't do particular scenes in certain spaces because they know that they may drop after, and they don't have that person available or access to that people. You see what I'm saying? So it can hit somebody really, really hard. I had someone that didn't experience it until a week later,
Mm.
and she was in a different state. But I'm like, call me, let's talk, whatever. And sometimes you might be in a situation to where you can't do anything or have them seen unless that person you have access to that person physically.
Mm.
Because you're not gonna know what that person needs until they get to that space. Now, after you've done it several times, you say, okay, I need to be around you within the next 24 hours because I know I'm gonna drop, and I just need you to hold me. I just need to talk to you. It might be sex. It might be feed me. You see what I'm saying? It might just be in a room with me while I drink water. You know what I mean? So being available and being able to communicate with that person, but it's a tough thing because a lot of people get into this realm and they don't know until they know.
Mm.
I mean, just like what somebody's aftercare looks like. You don't know what their aftercare looks. I mean, you could do basic first aid and everything like that if needed. You'll check on them mentally, physically, ask them the questions, but you don't know what they're going to need. You know what I mean? They might need to have sex. They might just need to lay on your chest for the next 3-4 hours. You know what I mean? But when that drop comes, it's that feeling of abandonment, the feeling of somebody done deed you down all crazy, and now they NIA. It's that same feeling right there. Like there, you hitting their phone up, you calling them like, oh, you just go. Some people can handle it. Some people okay. Some people, it puts them in a spiral. And it always depends on the person. That's why you got to trust who you're doing a scene with, because you become very vulnerable. That's one of the most vulnerable states. When somebody's in sub drop, when they have sub drop, and you took them to that high, now everything is releasing out of them, and that feeling of damn, like I don't feel him, I don't feel the pain in my butt no more. You know, I'm reminiscing about him touching me, and now I don't have access to that.
Can you explain the levels or archetypes of submission? Service subs, brats, slaves, littles, pets. Just the bare minimum, not nothing big.
So just the bare minimum, you would say you have a slave, you have a submissive, you have a bottom. So the slave is the ultimate submission situation. I'm not a master. I don't, but that is kind of more of it's a slave. You're a slave. You know what I mean? A lot of the stuff in this master slave is not negotiable for them, and you have to know what you're getting yourself into. As a submissive, you're able to say, hey, no, yes, real simple. You're able to sit, negotiate your contract, say, I don't want this, I'm okay with this, I don't want that, you know what I mean? And then you put it down in writing, and you say, hey, we're going to do this for 6 months. See what I'm saying? So a bottom would just be, you're not submissive to somebody, right? You just want that interaction. You're able to go have this physical interaction and bottom for that person, whether it's, you pay for a session, you see them at a dungeon or something like that. Some people are not submissive. They just like the bottom. They like the interaction. They don't identify. They're not going to be submissive to someone outside of that actual engagement. Within there, you can be a slave. You can be a submissive. You can be a bottom. You can identify as a brat. That's a personality trait within the community. You can identify as a little. You could be a service sub. To me, that's my thing. Like servitude. So I look for service subs. You know what I mean? That's how, that's the thing that excels to me, is someone being able to serve, someone going above and beyond to show that they have studied, my protocol and what I look for, and then they're going to be attentive to that. So that's my personal thing. I look for service subs. I've dealt with brats. I've dealt with littles. I have friends that are brats and littles. You know what I mean? And it's just like I said, it's just their personality. You can have someone that's a F toy. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They just want to be used and abused. You see what I'm saying? So there's so bimbo. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So many different submissives that people. You could be a combination. You don't have to be locked into one. You can be a little, a brat, and a service sub all
Mm-hmm.
together.
True.
So you could be all that all together. So
So, what should someone know before identifying themselves with a role?
say that again. I'm sorry.
What should someone know before identifying themselves with a role?
Okay. So it's personality based. Don't just jump and say, "Hey, I'm this." You know what I mean? It's personality based. So I would say if you're looking to get into the realm, just understand it from the basics of being a submissive.
Mm,
Don't jump in and say, "Oh, I'm a little," because it
mm,
sounds cute. You know what I mean? You're able to get online and research all different types of submissives, right?
mm,
Focus on just having that energy.
mm,
Focus on being in a position to where you're available mentally,
mm,
physically, emotionally, energy, right? Forget any of the, oh, I'm a service sub, I'm this, that, whatever. Just make sure you're available to be submissive to somebody
mm,
because that's what because all that other stuff will come into play. And
mm,
somebody could say, you may not know you're a brat and get around me like, listen, you're a brat. Now I'm telling you that you're a brat for the next 20 weeks. See what I'm saying? So now you like, okay, or people take that test and they let that test tell them what they are. You see what I'm saying? So what I look at as somebody being a brat may not be a brat to the next person.
mm.
You know what I mean? And don't take that role because you see somebody else do it and try to make yourself that.
That part. So, why do people say the submissive holds more power in the scene? I know you went over this, but I just want to get more in depth with it, especially during negotiations and safe wording.
Okay.
Why is it important?
So it's important because they're putting themselves in a vulnerable state. They're
Mm,
giving you all the control for that, whether it's for that moment, that
mm,
30 minutes session, or
mm,
for a 6 month span, and y'all are in a relationship.
mm.
So you have to have you have to give them the power to be able to say yes or no to something. In the
Right.
beginning, you say you have to give them that power. You have to give them that control. They have to agree to everything that you're going to
Exactly.
do. And it can change. And even during a scene, like you give somebody a safe word so they can come in and say, "Hey, I don't like this no more," or "I don't like where this is going out," or "This is too much for me." That's where the pineapples come from. You know what I mean? Once you get to your level, you use a safety gesture.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So, how
So,
does consent? Let me see. How does consent tie into this dynamic? Like, how does this consent tie into this power dynamic?
so consent is key. Consent is sex. We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything must be consensual. It's consensual dominance. The difference between someone just choosing to, somebody just choosing to, I'm gonna make you do this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you're gonna do from now on, and they don't have no say in it.
Mm-hmm.
This has a say in everything, right? They have a say. Even if you're talking about the slave, that person is choosing. Let's say in the BDSM world, right? That
Mm-hmm.
person is choosing to be a slave.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being forced to be a slave.
Exactly.
So Dom sub dynamic. If you're walking around with a leash, you consented to that.
Mm-hmm.
You see
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? If I'm able to spank you for talking out of turn, you consented to that.
Right.
You said we negotiated and you were okay with that. You told me
Mm-hmm.
what your hard limits were. You told me what your soft limits were. You told me everything that you were okay with,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I give you the power to control it. I give you the power to maintain that control with
Mm-hmm.
a safe word, with a safety gesture. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, she can stop whatever's going on at any time.
True. That's true.
So that's why they say the submissive has most of the power because I'm only doing what they allow. The person is you're only doing what that person allows you to do.
True. Is control only illusionary for the dom?
Is it illusionary for the dom? What do you mean by that?
Is it a? It's like an illusion. Like it's
Okay.
there, but it's not there. But it's really the submissive with the power, but it's illusionary in a sense.
No, so because they're allowing you to control, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're allowing you to lead them how you see fit. right?
Right.
But they're just agreeing to what that person journey looks like. You have to agree to what I'm presenting to you. You have to agree to it. You see what I'm saying? Like a submissive doesn't come to me and tell me, hey, I want you to do all this to me. I say, this is what I do. This is how my journey looks like. And say, okay, does it align with yours? She'll look and say, yeah. Hey, but this right here, I'm uncomfortable with this. Is this, can we negotiate this or not? If we can't, then we part our ways.
Correct.
Saying?
Mm-hmm.
But she's still aligning with what I put forth.
Exactly.
But she has to agree to it, and then she has the power, like I said, she has the power to control it, stop it at any moment.
Exactly. So there's a strong sexual perception of BDSM, eroticism. All of that is a strong sexual perception. But what does the mental aspect look like? Control, vulnerability, trust. What does that look like?
So it's gonna be different for every person, right? It's gonna be different for every person. Some people, just being able to have the mental space of just being able to be free mentally, right? Get the physical aspect. Being in a space to where you can be vulnerable, you can be safe, and you don't have to worry about thinking. I always say when I train us, if I'm training an actual submissive, I'm going to train them to be perfect. I'm going to train them to do everything I love to a T. In a space to where they're not getting anything incorrect. So they know that what they're doing is the right thing to do. And sometimes that puts people in a space of mental and a stress-free space because you're trained to know everything. You see what I'm saying? So as opposed to someone like, I don't know if he likes this, I don't know if I'm doing this right. Well, let me try this, let me take him out somewhere. And you don't know. You're figuring somebody out. It's figured out for you. So when you want to be in that space to where you can show up and I know exactly what I need to do. I don't have to think about it. It's been taught to me. I practiced it. I've learned that over the past 6 months. I know exactly what I need to do to make this person happy at that moment.
Right. So how does BDSM fulfill emotional and psychological needs that regular sex doesn't?
Well, I would never attach BDSM to sex. That's a personal choice. Because I've had submissives that I've never had sex with. So I always tell people, do not think BDSM and think sex. You're thinking bedroom BDSM. You're thinking that the play that goes around it, right? So the main concept of BDSM is the power exchange, right? And the power exchange has nothing to do with sex at all. So I wouldn't even put it together, and that's a misconception that a lot of people have. They think, oh, you're gonna tie me up and you're gonna bang my back out. Nah, that's not what I'm gonna do. My journey doesn't look like that. I want you to mentally, emotionally, spiritually submit to me. I want that energy exchange right there.
Yeah.
The part is easy. The physical aspect is easy. I'm 6'5", 260. I can put my hand around somebody, make them I can physically make somebody submit. But when I can look at you and you're yes, daddy. See what I'm saying? If I nod my head and you automatically know what to do and the energy exchange is there, that's the space I want to be in.
Exactly. A reason I'm asking you these questions like this because I want to get rid of stereotypes.
Okay,
These
that's one of the biggest ones. Yeah, the sex thing. Does it involve sex? You could, but my sessions, I don't have sex at my sessions. So, and I'll do the physical aspect of it though, but it doesn't necessarily involve sex. For some people, it does. It's just how it looks for you. You know? It's how it looks for you, that particular person. Yeah. Because it's not a one size fits all.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just want people to understand that because everybody looked at 50 Shades of Grey and they just thought that's what it is. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Or 24/7. They thought that's all it is. But there's more to it. So I just wanted to break it down, like you said, to the easiest form of understanding.
Yeah, that's a big misconception. It doesn't have to involve sex. Like I do a lot of my power exchange, no penetration. I mean, now I end with, doing a forced orgasm with my hands and all that stuff. So that's a different thing for me. Yeah. But a lot of engagements is just having that figure to where you feel safe. You feel like I can let go around this person. I mean, so even if I'm in a room full of people, just to be in a space talking like this and people feeling secure, feeling, liberated just having that space and that with that dominance presence, especially someone that doesn't need to beat on his chest. You know what I mean? I'm not forcing dominance on anybody. It's natural. It's gonna come. You know, you're gonna come. You're going to submit to me naturally, even if you're not my submissive. Just the respect of the energy. Just like if I met you and you're a dominant, I respect the energy. You know what I mean? We might vibe on different levels. You know what I mean? But it's a, you know, you feel the energy, and it's a respect factor for there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't have to be physical, like in an intimate way. You know, it could just be you with someone that just literally you're able to be vulnerable and let them lead. And be in a space where I don't have to make no decisions around him. That's it. We don't have no sex, whatever. I just need to come to him so I can be in a space to where I feel like I'm trained everything and I'm getting everything, I'm doing everything right. You know what I mean? I'm in a space to where I don't have to worry, you know what I mean, about what to do.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've met a lot of internet doms who I guess don't like my personality and try to dom me. Bless their heart and their ministry. But
right there is already, that's a red flag right there.
I know.
I should be coming up. Like if you see me and I see people trying to, I don't have a power struggle with anybody. I tell somebody if people say you're not going to do, listen, I'm 100% not. I didn't try to, not attempt. I easily be like, love, you got it. As soon as the energy is off, because I'm going to speak to you a certain type of way. As soon as you speak to me in a certain sense that doesn't match my energy, and, you know, as a dominant, hey, love, you got it. Don't worry about it. Simple as that. You got it, love. Hey, you want to let her talk? Of course, I'm going to let she's not talking to me. You got it, love. Enjoy your day. It was a pleasure meet, whatever. I can easily do that because you have to know you don't have to abuse this power.
No.
Right? I don't have to stand on a table and beat on my chest and say, I'm Sir Leezus, I, A, B, and C, so-and-so, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I walk into a room, I look around, I shake head, whatever, so-and-so, and my presence is going to bring you to me. If you are in a space that you're going to submit, you're going to come to me with that energy. If I come to you, I have to meet you where you are.
Facts.
Physically and emotionally. That's why when I go out, I'll sit to myself, you got to match my vibe.
That's me.
If I'm on Usher chilling with a glass of whiskey, that's it. If I'm over here and I got Cardi B and our girl shaking it, you match my energy. I can't come to you with a jazz aura if you over there twerking on a headlight. I gotta come match your energy. You come to me, you gotta match, and that's what I say with being a dominant. You know what I mean? Match the person's energy. You come to me, you're gonna match my. I go to you. Now I have to conform to whatever space that you're. You know what I mean? You came to me. You see what I'm saying?
Facts. So, do you believe there's a cultural split between Eurocentric type of power exchange or BDSM practices and the Black standard or community practices within the lifestyle?
Well, there's a split all in the lifestyle between the swingers, the kinks, BDSM, then you got the leather community. It's split. It's split dramatically. Certain groups that don't respect other groups, you know what I mean? Like somebody told me, you started off as a swinger. We're not welcoming you in the BDSM community. I'm like, was I supposed to be born with a flogger? Like, I'm not understanding. So,
Wow.
this is why I can say I step out the box from all that and I say I do erotic power exchange because now you can't put me in no space. You see what I'm saying? And you don't have to be involved with any of them communities to enjoy what I enjoy personally. You see what I'm saying? And then the Black community, like I started off in the white community. The person that I had a conversation with about BDSM was a white woman. You see what I'm saying? The first person that actually showed me how to flog, showed me how to spank correctly was a white woman. You see what I'm saying? So I went and found my people, and the white side is way more accepting than the Black side, to be honest.
Damn.
So to be honest, way more open, way more willing to educate. They see something wrong, they don't run and put it online. They say, hey, can I show you? You see what I'm saying? A lot of people, the thing is, be a true advocate.
Right.
If I see somebody doing something, I don't want to go talk about them online saying they're doing this wrong because they're going to continue to do it. You're not doing no justice. You see what I'm saying? So that's one of the things with like a lot of people in the Black community, we rather break somebody down, tear them down online than to help educate and fix something. You see what I'm saying?
That part.
The one thing that I don't respect a lot of it when you say like, when you ask about the Black community and all that, that's one of the big things. We rather throw somebody under the bus for something, then say, hey, listen, let's fix this because you represent us, we represent you, you represent us. You see what I'm saying? And it's not enough of that. There's
Yeah.
not enough of that in the black community where it's not enough of that.
Mm, mm. So let's talk about fat life. I myself, I do not like it. And that's my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
Fat life and other kink centric sites can become hunting grounds for predators. What's your advice to new submissives or those exploring the lifestyle for the first time?
I'm sorry, say that again. It was a little.
I said fat life and other kink centric sites can become hunting grounds for predators. What's your advice to new submissives and those exploring the lifestyle for the first time?
So I would say use FetLife for munches.
Mm.
Find munches that you see consistently posted. Public places, not in homie living room and it's his house address. Public places. Meet people in person. I'll tell anybody, do not meet someone one-on-one off of FetLife that's saying they're dom or saying that they're submissive, because it's not only, we gotta do it on both sides. You know what I mean? We gotta be safe for the dominants, you gotta be safe for the submissive. So any type of energy. So there's predators in all types of ways.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's malicious people. There's people that, will flat out just jam you up. There's people that are out to do harm because it's social media. At the end of the day, it's social media. And people can be who they want to be online. You don't have to put you're not putting your ID on there and you have to put your regular name and all that, whatever. You got to think, the farther you get away from Facebook, because most people, Facebook is their personal thing. They put their name up there. It's weird to us when somebody has a fake name on Facebook.
Yeah.
You go to Twitter, Instagram, people they create personalities, right? FetLife is a space created for people that are into all types of things, kinks, fetishes, and all that, whatever. And there's a lot of predators on there. FetLife I use, and I tell anybody, and I refer people to FetLife to find meet and greets in your area. Don't go to an event. Go to a meet and greet. Start meeting people in person. Talk to people. You might be a submissive, but you will meet other submissives. You'll meet dominants. You'll meet people that are not coming with intention. They're not coming with intention to pursue you. You meet somebody online, the chances are higher that person is pursuing you. So they might say what they think you want to say. You're not going to get an organic interaction with a person. Find a munchin, use it to find munches, to find meet and greets. Go there and talk to people organically in person. Feel people's energy in person. Don't go with an intention to find a dominant or to find a submissive. Just go to meet people in your community. Go for resources. You go there, somebody might be like, hey, this person's having this workshop at this place. This is a safe space. People might say, hey, don't go here, don't go there. You may have been talking to a guy that hit up 10 girls at this meet, and they're all, now you got the red flag, but you didn't know because you're new to it. You see what I'm saying? You have to know people in the community to get information, to be able to have resources, and to be able to get advice from. So start showing your face. Be in person.
How can someone vet a potential dom or dungeon or just people in general?
Okay, so questions. You would ask questions. See if you can see stuff online. You know what I mean? Ask, hey, do you do anything publicly? Can I attend? You know what I mean? A lot of people that don't post anything, that's kind of, I don't want to say it's a red flag, but not a red flag, because some people are private, right? But if they can't show you their body of work, if they don't have anybody that can refer, that they can refer, or you have a mutual friend, you know what I mean? You always want to bridge the connection somewhere when you're dealing in this world. You get what I'm saying? Because somebody could be on there and have just a mask on and tell you, hey, I'm a professional dom, I do this, that, whatever, and you end up going to get hurt like that girl that put that wrapped the guy in the saran wrap, not knowing he asked for it, but just wanting to take the bag and not really being educated in doing it. You know what I mean? I'm a dom and I don't do that. You know what I mean? Most I do with asphyxiation is hand around the throat. You know what I mean? And I'm, people don't even know that. Different types of chokes that you do, you know what I mean? All the chokes are not safe, So you have to, what I say, be in person with that. Like when it comes to be in person, meet people in person, talk to people. Same way you would meet someone if you're dating somebody on a dating app. Meet them somewhere public. Have a conversation. You know what I mean? If people, if you know, what have you done before? Like, have you had a submissive before? Is there anybody I could talk to? Oh no, I don't really deal. Red flag. I have. If you go to my website, I have 5 red flags that you can look for when you're choosing a dom. If you go to my website, I do have that on there as a free download giveaway. I go into detail. If anybody is interested, if they go to my website, it's a free download. But I do give some basic things to look for. But they should be like, there's a lot of things you can vet. And knowledge too. You know, ask them what it looks like. You know what I mean? Being a submissive to you. You know what I mean? Do you have a protocol? You know what I mean? Can I see it? What does that look like? Do you believe in, the simplest question, do you believe consent can be taken back anytime? Some people are like, no, you're my submissive, you can't. It's a lot of people that think like that. You're not answering the right question. You know what I mean? Does a person give you the tools to control what's going on? As opposed to, does a person start off automatically, you need to call me daddy as soon as you start? I'm on the other side. I tell people that, hey, dad, you got to earn that. You can't just call me daddy. You got to earn that. You can't even text that to me. You got to earn that, love. I'm not telling you to do whatever someone said. You know what I mean? Now, unless that's a safe word during a scene, and I'm like, hey, your safe word is daddy because it sounds sexy. That's the situation. You know what I mean? But as soon as somebody come and say, hey, you belong to me. If somebody, it's like this. You swipe right on Tinder, you go out on one date, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend. How does that sound regular? So do you think that you should be submissive to someone which you're giving total control to? Like that? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if you're not going to do that when you meet somebody on Tinder, why would you give somebody complete control of your mind, body, and spirit that you haven't vetted and haven't invested time into getting to know?
That part. So how does kink help someone reclaim their sensuality, especially in a world that often shames sexual expression, particularly in Black bodies?
So perfect story. I'm gonna use this for real life as a real life. I was at an expo that I was featured in an expo I performed down in Dallas. There was a woman that came up to me. I was set up with my stuff, just taking pictures with people, and she gave me a hug, gave her a hug, and she started crying. Now my first thing is like, is she fangirl? And I'm like, you good? Like, she was like, no, I'm good. And she was like, I just want to thank you because I found your page through a friend, and I'm recently separated. I mean, she was like, well, a couple year or two out, whatever, so and so. And she was like, I'm getting back into the dating world. But she was like, I was married to this guy for 15 years. And anything I wanted to do to spice up the bedroom, he shamed me on. She said when she wanted to bring toys to the bedroom, I didn't marry no whore. This is that, whatever, so and so. That's that hood stuff, whatever. So, and she was just telling me all the stuff that he would shame, just trying to bring a vibrator into the bedroom. Simple toy, all that stuff. She wanted to spice the things up, whatever. And for the whole time that they were married, anything outside of the box of regular sex, she would get shamed for by her husband. She comes across my page and she sees the Find Your Kink, and I'm putting all this stuff. But the thing is, she sees a whole bunch of Black women, and you go to the page, a lot of successful Black women, a lot of empowered Black women, and they're under the post like, girl, I've been doing that for you. I love this. I love this kink. This is something I do with my partner. This is so-and-so this. I love to be called this. I love to do A, B, and C. And now she's like, it was just liberating to see so many Black women sexually liberated under a post. Now, she said she wasn't brave enough to comment, but she said, I just go to read and I feel at home. I feel normal seeing other women being able to embrace that. And that's one thing. A lot of times we look at what society has deemed to be normal, right? And we stick with that. We're scared to open up, step out the box because we're scared to, I don't care what anybody says. People say, I don't care what people think. We all care what people think. You see what I'm saying? We all care what people think. We're scared to be judged, right? And we say, like, I don't care. We do, because there's certain things you won't tell your friends you're into. Some people don't have that space to be able to say, hey, girl, I love being fisted. Their friends will look at them crazy. You know what I mean? Or I love to worship God's feet. Or I'm into double whatever, so-and-so. Or I'm in a group, whatever, this is that. And sometimes we don't have that space to be accepted for wanting to step out the box. You know what I mean? In our intimate in our intimate life. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that's one thing, is just just creating the spaces. And that's one thing with what I do, is I create a space and a community of people that are say, oh, it's okay to be nasty. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to be nasty. It's okay. We listen, we don't judge. You're into that, I'm into this. We both
Mm-hmm.
nasty. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We don't have enough of that. We don't have
So,
enough of that.
what's the emotional or even spiritual purpose of a submissive to a dom, and vice versa?
So to speak on the end for me, and because like I said, that's the thing that's going to be specific to that specific person.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's the fact of, like I said, servitude is my thing. Being in a space to where you're willing to commit to serving a person
Mm-hmm.
from head to toe, every need, and putting that energy and effort.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that's my thing. And the fact that you're committing to that. I present it to you, and you're making a conscious decision to commit to that.
Mm-hmm.
On a submissive end, that's going to be different depending on a submissive, depending on what she gets out of it. And everybody is different. Like somebody said, they come to me and they say, what do I get out of being submissive to you? If you ask me that, then you don't need to be a submissive at this moment. Because I need to know what you get out of it so I can provide this for you. I can tell you everything I can provide. That may not be what you personally need. You need to know what you get out of it.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like no dominant can tell you what you get out of being submissive to him. It's how does that work? You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
To tell you what I need out of you for you to truly. So you see what I'm saying? I can tell you what I need. You can't tell me what you can say. Hey, I'm gonna provide sex for you 24/7. I don't need that. It's not what I need. So how can you tell me what I need? Not you, but how can that person tell me? I can tell you this is what I need. I need you to show dedication and a servitude. It's about the sex aspect of it.
Yeah.
At all, in no shape, form, or fashion. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you have your show, and I was watching like clips and stuff, and you like highlight the power dynamic, intimacy, submission, and pleasure. Why was it important to share that part of your life publicly?
So to me, and it's crazy because I didn't do that at first, right? And somebody was like, listen, the way you engage is so unique. It's so out of the box. And there's so many people that are turned off by BDSM because of what they see, and they don't see it the way that you do it, which has a intimate side to it. It has an emotional side to it. I have a connection. Whether I'm even if I'm going hard, it's a connection. It's an emotional connection for that moment, and a lot of people don't get to see that aspect of it. They see a lot of hardcore straight to it. You know what I mean? When you see it on and like the XXX sites, right? You're seeing someone just flat out, a flat out sadist. They're not seeing anybody take that moment to have that energy exchange, to have that connection, and lock in with that person energy wise, and then proceed into it. But that's what separates me. So somebody was talking about that, and they was like, people need to see that. So I put the first video that I put up, it did like 3 million views. First time I decided to put up something. I'm on my 13th Instagram page. That's my platform. Yeah, I'm on my 13th Instagram page. So I was putting up, like I was going hard when I first started putting up the content, and I was doing everything because I was doing shows every week.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And like I literally went from, what it was I linked up with I had a business partner at the time, and she had an adult toy store, right? And she had a bunch of women that were coming to the store, and they wanted to do stuff, whatever. And she pushed me like, what else can you do? What else can you do? I used to do a Swinger 101 class. Well, what else? What else? What else? And then I presented it, and people, they wanted to see how I portrayed BDSM, right? But this is why I got into the realm of erotic power exchange. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have to be into BDSM to do what I do. I use a lot of aspects of BDSM, but I'm doing power exchange, and that's my focus right there. Because I can do that without a toy.
Yeah.
I just look somebody in the eye, my hand around the back of their neck, rubbing on their ear, and talk to them. Have that power exchange that had the same effect if I use all my tools. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's about that engagement. But so to put it out there publicly, I also wanted to be a space to where it's okay. I walk around with this on my chest through the airport. People look at, oh, you gonna wear that? Yeah, I'm gonna wear this. Outside, come have a conversation with me. Let's converse. Let's talk. I'm okay being a person that can say, hey, listen, this is what I do. I'm about finding I normalize kink. So I put it out there to show I want to normalize kink. This is normal to me. Oh, you putting a video out there? That's cool. I'm gonna put it out there. My mom knows what I do. You see, do you still spanking ass?
So what were you worried about people misunderstanding or being felt misunderstood or judged?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really, because there was enough support. But like, I've got death threats. I've got your mom should have aborted you. I've got my inbox is crazy with people messaging and stuff. Like I've had just people make pages and inbox me and stuff like, you should go to jail. This is that. This is not so and so. Like, it's so much stuff that I put up with, but it just, listen, I have enough support that you're gonna get negative stuff. People are gonna not be okay with that. People are gonna call, like, people are under a post that's then it's almost at 1 million now, and you see there's 10,000 women loving it. Then you see other one, y'all are sick for liking this, but everybody's not gonna be okay with it. Everybody's gonna not be, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay. You see what I'm saying? I'm okay because everything I do is safe, sane, and consensual. I'm okay with you not liking it. There are people that will be educated. There are people that will get enjoyment. There are people that I might unlock a new level for them, and now, they're able to be satisfied in all aspects of life because, I introduced them to something new, and I happen to be that stepping stone for them to go in that direction, and I'm okay with it.
So I'm a reader, and I notice that some of the scenes that are in books are either wildly inaccurate or overly sanitized. What do you wish authors would research more carefully when it comes to these topics?
So let me see. Authors. I don't read a lot of erotic now, but I hear like so many people come to me and say, "Oh, you remind me of this character in this book. Oh my goodness, you do this, you so and so." You know what I mean? It's a lot different. And one of my partners is like, "You should write a book. You should write a book. You should write a book. You should do something." That's not my personal thing, but I understand where she's coming from because I know how to have that engagement for real. This is what I do. What people write about, I do that for real. To me, observe it. You need to observe it. A lot of times, you're seeing it from someone that wrote it, as opposed to seeing it organically. Me, you see it organically. You come and see an interaction with me, you're watching me do it. This is not somebody that scripted this and they're following the script. You're actually seeing an organic power exchange. I would say do more research on that part.
Yeah.
You can imagine, you can dream, and you come in there, but come and actually see me do a power exchange with someone from hello to orgasm and get a different perspective of it. Because now you see it organically. You're not seeing no script. This person doesn't know how they're going to react. Right? You see a movie, you see something that's written out. You see what I'm saying? Somebody has a great imagination, right? I'm not saying it, and they're a great writer, they're a great storyteller, right? But I'm going to take you on that journey organically, naturally. And I don't know how it's going to go, what direction. I know that I'm going to read the energy. You see what I'm saying? And then you'll see that. You'll feel that. That's what a lot of my videos, I capture the moments that I know women are going to feel. You know what I'm saying? So when you're looking, you're like, oh, my goodness. And I do just enough for you to capture that moment. You see like, okay, I know what she was going through right there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You don't really get that in a movie theater because it's acting. My thing is organic. It's right there. And you will see that person's natural response.
So what makes it dangerous when people write things that are untrue? Because a lot of people like to try things out, unfortunately, with what they read. So what makes something dangerous when portrayed poorly?
Same thing with like 50 Shades of Grey. That's a perfect example. You got to understand it's a lot of times you get stuff, you get the surface level. You don't know what's behind the scenes on that. Like somebody can see one of my engagements, right? Not knowing that prior, we had a whole conversation. She told me everything that she doesn't want done to her. You see what I'm saying? I told her what her safety gestures are. I told her how to control it. You see me do a thing. If you see somebody put their hand up, that's them letting me know I need to come in and talk to them. I got a finger system. But a lot of times, if you just see what's going on the surface, you don't know how much work went into that to making sure that person is safe. You see what I'm saying? Making sure you're guiding, you're being careful with that person's energy. You see what I'm saying? You don't understand the trust level that leads up until that moment. You see what I'm saying? So when you read, oh, Daryl told me to come get on my knees and he put his hand around my throat and said, open the mouth, whatever. You don't know how they got to that stage. You see what I'm saying? It may have been a situation to where she consented to all that before. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times you gotta you take a story for what it's worth. It's a story. You know what I mean? But some people see that and they say, hey, I want this person to try that. But it's your responsibility to go educate yourself on, let me see how this is really done.
Right.
Let me go and actually see they're practicing BDSM. Let me go educate myself on BDSM for real, as opposed to just seeing the surface level on this book and then taking that and trying to go do it in the bedroom. You have a responsibility to educate yourself, or to go find ways to educate yourself. That's what, let me say that. To find ways to educate yourself, whether somebody else is doing it, you're reading up on it, you know what I mean? Somebody can teach you hands-on, you know what I mean?
Many Black people have experienced feeling of uncomfortable or unsafe in white-led spaces that are like dungeons or munches sometimes. What's your advice for navigating those situations or creating your own safe space?
Well, you gotta, so one thing is find a community, right? Be with your people. You know what I mean? You can attend all these spaces. You can attend with people that you feel safe with. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes people create their own space because we're not welcome in a lot of spots, right? There's a lot of spots we're not welcome. A lot of spots they'll be over your shoulder because they think you haven't educated. You can't be in there and be more educated than their dungeon master, because God forbid that happen. You see what I'm saying? So it comes along with it though. Until we start supporting ourselves and creating these spaces for ourselves and stop complaining about it. It ain't too much. You know what I mean? Just make sure that you can vet a spot. You can vet a party. You know what I mean? You can talk to people and say, hey, how's this space? How do they receive the POC community?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Should I go there with someone or should I go there looking for open play? You know what I mean? And a lot of times you should be doing this with your partner. It shouldn't be random people. You should be doing it with your partner. So you're going to be, when you're with your partner, anywhere you go should be safe to y'all. The environment may not be, but that's the first thing. Be safe within your proximity, right? Be safe with the people that you're there with. Whether yourself, your partner, is a group of y'all, be safe within that space. Be trusted within that space. And then figure it around. Because sometimes you got to make a decision. Hey, that's not for us. We need to go. You can walk into a spot and be like, hey, listen, I don't feel safe practicing anything here. You know what I mean? So, because you can be at a space to where you can do the same thing some other people are doing. Questioning like, hey, is this person, well, why didn't you question them? Because they're doing the same thing. She said roses, she said peaches. Why is her roses not good enough? You know what I mean? Why are you questioning if we're safe over here when you clearly see this person over there? You know what I mean?
So I am starting my own club here in Chicago, even though I'm going through hell with the political process over here. But I am starting my own BDSM club. What advice could you give me for that?
I would say after you get all your space and all that, whatever, start private. Start private. Start private. I would say don't have it open invite. Start with people that you know, people that can actually facilitate. You know what I mean? Start to where you're doing events like that, and you slowly let people into the space, introduce people to the space. Because the whole thing is your first couple of months is going to dictate, is going to dictate your name in those spaces. You know what I mean? So when you're doing anything party wise and all that, whatever, same thing hosting a party, you can have a private thing, you can open it up, and you never know who you're inviting to your space. You know what I'm saying? So create the energy, create the vibe put it in a controlled environment. If you invite 20 people that you personally know, now you're controlling the environment. You know, Sir Alonzo does fire. You know, so-and-so does this. You know, so-and-so, you know what I mean? Be in a space to where you host events, but you hire facilitators to practice. Nobody is coming to practice. You can only engage with one of the facilitators.
Mm.
You're booking somebody to be a service top. Start like that. Then you're controlling the environment because you know everybody that's there is doing stuff safe. You know,
Yeah.
you had meetings with them, you sat down, you trained your team, everybody knows, so everybody's on the same page. And
Right.
the way to, because people are going to try to, you a black strong woman opening up a business, you see what I mean? You taking away from that other communities and stuff like that
Mm.
for anything possible to get you up out of there. So you control the environment. Oh no, that didn't happen here. Listen, only people that practice were my trained professionals. They're doing this at whatever so. There was nobody random there. There was, everybody is accounted for.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hold the space, you can't account for anybody in there once you start opening up to anybody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to vet your people, and stay on that realm. If that's a slower process, but that's the safest way to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So, can you explain the difference? And no, I know a lot of books say this, but I don't think they get it. Can you explain the difference between consent, non-consensual, and consent?
Okay.
And why is CNC misunderstood and dangerous without proper education?
Okay. So CNC is you negotiating something that looks like a non-consensual interaction. Now let's just say like the R word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that. But someone wants to have that experience and they're choosing to have that experience. So they find someone that they trust, that they're safe, and they make it a scene. They negotiate it, they talk it out, they get these safety words and all that, and you're setting this up to be and look and feel like a non-consensual encounter. But at the end of the day, it's planned, it's set up, it's strategic. You're mapping it out. You see what I'm saying? This person is asking for this actual scene. So somebody could say like, "Hey, I want you to take it from me. I want to be in a space where you're taking it from me. I want you to come to my crib a certain day out the week, and you're gonna do this whatever." You know what I mean? You still have to give that person control. They have to have a safe word.
Yeah.
No, stop. That might be negotiated. Hey, these are not my safe words. This is how I'm going to respond organically. And if something that goes away from that, like it might be jelly beans. And that's your thing. And that you're clear that it's completely away from whatever the engagement is. So it's clear and understood. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't personally don't deal. One time with someone I mentored under for a little bit, did a kidnapping scene that I helped with. And it was so much that went into that. You know what I mean? Like, they had an emergency bag, emergency number. There was a bunch of stuff that went into that. And I was like, this is a lot. This is a lot. They had different types of safety gestures all throughout the scene that they were able to use. You see what I'm saying? Now she was more extreme with her play. I know she does a lot of extreme stuff, but just the preparation for it and the planning out and then the putting stuff in writing and the having stuff written down and contracts with everything. And this is what we're gonna do. This is how it's gonna look. These are your thing, whatever. So just to cover themselves. But that's a whole different realm. I personally don't indulge in that. But if somebody is gonna practice that, you need to be with somebody that is a pro. Do not do that with someone that just started. Do it with someone that specializes in that. That actually can sit down and work. You know what I mean? Because I've seen some extreme situations. You know.
So, how do hard and soft limits empower a submissive's autonomy? And how do hard and soft limits empower a submissive's autonomy? And what's the process of renegotiation if a limit changes over time?
So, hard and soft limits. So, just to explain for people that don't know, hard limit is your absolute no. Let's just say fisting. Hard limit, you're not into that. It's not going to happen. That's it. There's no talking you into it. There's no negotiation. It's a no. Some people spit in the mouth. That's a no. You know what I mean? It can even be something as simple as being called, being called a nasty word. That could be a hard limit to you. You see that? Or somebody said a hard limit was being called a princess. That's a hard limit. Don't call me a princess. It makes me feel like, I'm a child or so I feel like my daughter, I call it. So I can understand it. Right? So the whole thing is you go over that. Now a soft limit would be something that I don't like it, but it's not a hard limit. So that might be something that you use for punishment, right? Now, at any time, you may have agreed because you may not know sometimes. You might say, I'm open to this. This is the hard limit. This might be a solve. I'm not sure. Right? So you typically have a space to where you, first of all, you have a safety word that you can always use. See what I'm saying? So you can see it about to happen and use a safety word. You see what I'm saying? So let's use the fisting thing. You see me lubing it up, you're just like pineapples. Nah. Now me, I have a responsibility. If you're saying no and then you say it's a hard limit, why am I going to try it again? Why? Why is that person going to try it again? If you expressed it and you, before I even started to act, you automatically, but then also after you see you want to talk or whatever, so it might be something you add to the list. Don't be in a space where a person says, hey, you didn't say no to this. I'm not taking this off because you did. Because sometimes you don't know.
Right.
You have to leave a gray area for some things like, okay, well, let's see when we get there, then I'll take it off the list or not. And then you can always go renegotiate. You might get situations to where you do every month, you go back and say, is there anything we need to change, whatever, you know what I mean? It might look like that. If it's your partner and your wife or your husband, y'all can talk about it like, hey, I love this, I didn't love this. You might introduce something new, and then it becomes a yes or becomes a no. Because we find different things all the time that we might want to try.
Okay. So what's the true philosophy behind power exchange? And why do some people crave giving or receiving control?
Well, the whole thing on the end is being able to let go. It's simple. Being able to let go. Being in the space of letting go, being in the space of guiding. You know what I mean? Some people love that responsibility. You see what I'm saying? Some people just, hey, I'm a boss 24/7. Think of a woman that I run my job. I'm a manager here. I'm a program man. I'm a so-and-so supervisor here. I have to tell people what to do all the time. I have to tell my kids what they need to do. Get up for school. Go cook, whatever. Do your homework. Tie your shoes. This is that. Got to clean my house. Got to so-and-so. Got to, you know what I mean? I got to run everything. Now you put yourself in a space to where you can come and you don't have to make a decision and you're able to be free. You're able to let go. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
On the dominant end, it's going to be different for everybody, right? That's going to be different for everybody. Their philosophy on why and how, and for them is going to be different. But to me, it's the honor of you being comfortable enough to give me that power. You being comfortable enough to say, I'm going to let go. I'm going to give this to you.
Yeah. So, can a lack of aftercare damage trust and connection?
It can, and your aftercare can change depending on, like I can tell a perfect situation to where I did a show with someone and aftercare we had before years ago changed, you know what I mean, from the aftercare when I did a scene with her recently. Before it was we chilled the whole weekend, so and so, you know what I mean, had an encounter, hung out, whatever, so and so, and then we get a different space. And you don't get that same energy, so that might look different for you. You know what I mean? So all the time, you can't expect and assume you're going to get the same type of thing. Past the basic first aid if you need it, check in mentally, physically, where are you emotionally, whatever. That's all a person can provide, not knowing what you need. That's just the basic. You see what I'm saying? You might have been used to your partner being you down after that. And now you just had an engagement. Say he's in a relation now, but you can still have that power. And then you don't get that. Now you're mad at him. You're looking like, yo, what's up? I ain't get no so-and-so. But you assumed. You didn't say, hey, if I can't get A, we can't. If I can't get B, we can't do A.
Right.
If we can't be intimate after you have the interaction, I don't want to have that interaction.
Right.
As a submissive, you have a responsibility too to know I'm going to need this. If you can't provide this, we can't do the scene. So it got to be responsibilities on both ends.
Yeah. So tell us more about your show. I'm not going to hold you up much longer because after I get done asking you this question, I got this long ass spiel I got to do. But tell us more about your show. What is the intention behind it? And what are some themes you've explored that even surprised you?
So my show, The Leezus Experience. So I get booked for a lot of people's shows just to perform. But my show, my baby, is called The Leezus Experience. So what I want to do, I want to introduce you to a night of erotic bliss. Real simple. I want you to come in. I want you to feel welcome. I want you to feel the energy. I want you to feel like it's a safe space to let go. If you want to take your top off and be out there, you know what I mean? That's what I want you to feel. I involve erotic poetry, erotic dance, whether it's burlesque, pole, fire, and it's just a whole energy fire, and it's just a whole energy check. And I give you a appetizer, an entree, dessert, and a nightcap. All in one. I take you from hello to orgasm. So I want to make sure that you're sitting there, you're entertained, and you say, you know what? I like this. I like how this feels. It went away from all the stereotypes. I like how this looks. I like how you presented. This might be something I want to get into with my partner. You know what I'm saying? And I'll do it in an entertaining set, right? A lot of people want to, they educate, you know what I mean? They want to do workshops, seminar, whatever. But sometimes you want to enjoy. You want to see what it feels like in the moment. You want to sit back, eat your popcorn, and say, oh, man, I almost came on myself. You see what I'm saying? And you can also be engaged with it. At my show, I even have it. You come into the show, you put a rose on if you want to be engaged with. So that's a part of my show. I'm doing energy checks before I even do the show. I want to check everybody's energy. Where we at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we good girls in the audience? Or are we nasty girls? What we doing? You know what I'm saying? So I want to give people the experience how I view BDSM. How it should be. It should be sexy. It should be open. You know what I mean? It should be liberating. You know what I mean? You should be able to come in and just feel like, you know what? I love it here.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They not boring me to death. He's doing stuff. You come to my page and see the education. Come to the show to enjoy. Kick your feet up, relax, and enjoy this moment with your girlfriend or your partner. You know what I mean? Or just your people.
So how can someone contact you to bring your experience to an event, educational space, or workshop?
So you can go to my website. It's sirleezus.com. My biggest platform right now is Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, SIRR.LEEZUS, you can inbox me and we can converse. We can talk about what you're looking for and we can put something together for your people. I do big events. I just did a divorce party.
Damn.
Yeah, so I do, we do our own events for women. We got a thing, Slutty Slumber Party, to where we create a space for women to have this experience. They got a chef catering to them, feeding grapes and stuff like that. We do like educational classes there, orals, workshops, riding work, whatever. And then it's a space for women to, if you want to explore past then, all the men are gone, and you explore that. You know what I mean? I do a naughty nightcap to where it's just, I come and I show bedroom BDSM with you and your girlfriends. You know what I mean? All able to engage with each other some type of way. And I put it right there. So some people don't want to come to a big show. Some people are more secret. You know what I mean? Some people want to have a kinky girls night. You know what I mean? So I provide that. So I even do it. I do a brunch, moans and mimosas. I give you the same experience by you eating French toast and drinking mimosas. You see what I'm saying? But if you come to my website, or you can Instagram, message me on Instagram. But you go to my website, you can find any of my platforms. My email's on there. The thing is, talk to me because we can figure something out. You know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily have to be a major show. You might have 5 girlfriends and you just want to have this experience at your house. You know what I mean? You see what you like, what you see, and you and your girlfriends want to do it yourself and you want to experience it. You can have that personal experience. So I do a live show and I do a live interaction. The live interaction is when you get to experience it yourself, personally, you and your friends. The show, you sit back and you view it. It's the actual show.
Well, I'm going to hit you up because I would like you, because me and my business partner have the Boozy Book Tour. Okay. And we have an event in Denver, Colorado next year that is called the Dungeon Night. And we're going to have it at the church nightclub in Denver, Colorado. And we want to have a dungeon night. It's like a precursor to when I open my club in 2027. So I want people to, especially authors. So it's an interracial, multicultural, and erotica book signing. So I will be hitting you up because I would like the whole Leezus experience, not for myself, for everybody else.
Nah, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So I want them to experience it because a lot of authors, like I said, are in the lifestyle, want to be in the lifestyle, or want to experience what they write.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm with it. Let's talk. Let's converse. Let's figure it out.
All right. So, is there anything you want to tell them before I let you go, before I do my spiel?
Listen, don't be afraid to find your kink. Simple as that. As simple as that. Normalize kink. Come to my page, enjoy. I put weekly stuff up. I put educational stuff. I put, you get to see me actually do a power exchange once a week on the page, and just come talk to me. Anybody can inbox me. You have any questions? I'm about to drop my kinky confession Sunday, so if you did anything kinky, you can jump on that. I post it anonymously, and you get to hear other people's stories and stuff like that. But I just created a space for people to come hang out. You actually hang out on my page.
Mm-hmm.
You're not come into the post, engage. I put engaging conversations up there all the time for people to be able to. A lot of people like to read and see other people. I just did a debate on. A lot of women don't know the difference between orgasm and coming. A lot of women didn't even know that. Some people thought it was the same. Some people thought it was separate. But I put stuff like that for people to see other people's perspective and say, damn, I didn't know this many women. It's separate for them. But I do that a lot. So everything is engaging for women to come onto my page and just enjoy it. Come have a good time.
Now you got me intrigued. What's the difference?
Oh, see? Now you got to come to the page for that.
God damn.
You got to come to the page for that one.
God damn. All right. Well, y'all heard it. Y'all heard it. All right, so I'm gonna let you get out of here. I appreciate you spending time with me and enlightening us, because I think these are conversations that need to be had. You know what I'm saying? I don't think anybody should be ashamed to have conversations like this and engage. So thank you, and I'm gonna let you go ahead and enjoy your Sunday.